Hi, my name is Jenny Rickard. I am a speech-language pathologist and a candidate for my doctorate degree in Leadership for Educational Justice at the University of Redlands. The decision to participate in this study is an important one. You are providing valuable insight into the factors that might affect the ways in which English learners are tested for special education eligibility. Racially, culturally, and linguistically diverse students are disproportionately represented in special education compared to their white peers. Disproportionality can occur when a certain subgroup of students is overrepresented or when they are underrepresented in special education. English learners are disproportionately represented in the eligibility categories of speech and language impairment and specific learning disabilities. This means that speech-language pathologists may be contributing to English learner disproportionality based on the methods we use to test English learners and the decisions we make about their eligibility based on the results. My goal is to investigate some of the factors that potentially contribute to the selection of language assessment methods for English learners. In order to do this, I need to get your perspective on bilingualism, school and district norms, the pre-referral process, your knowledge and skills, availability of resources, and the contribution of various assessment tools toward eligibility determination. I hope to use this information to propose some new approaches to professional development that take these factors into account. This study uses a unique methodology called Q methodology to study human beliefs and behavior. In the first part of the activity, you will be presented with a set of statements. You will sort these statements into 3 piles: agree, disagree, or it depends, I'm not sure. In the second part of the activity, you will sort the statements into more finely defined categories based on your level of agreement or disagreement with each statement. The ending result is that you will put the 48 statements into the shape of a normal distribution along a continuum from -5 to +5. The rest of this video explains the procedures that you will follow. Thank you again for your willingness to spend your valuable time participating in this project. You are going to be participating in an activity called a Q-sort. In the first part of this sorting activity, you will be presented with a total of 48 statements, one at a time. These statements represent opinions on the topics of English learners, bilingualism, instructional practices and assessment methods used with English learners, and so on. You might want to have a pencil and notepad nearby to jot down any statements that generate strong feelings or maybe even confusion. You will have an opportunity to give feedback on those statements after the sorting is done. For each statement of opinion, such as this one here, my school district expects me to use standardized tests in the assessment of English learners. You need to decide if this is an opinion statement you agree with, you disagree with, or maybe you feel it depends or you're not sure. Click the green box that best describes how you feel about this opinion statement. Be sure to click only one time. Do not double click. After you click, the next statement of opinion comes up. When you have sorted all 48 statements into one of the 3 categories, you're ready for the second part of the sorting activity. In the second part of the Q-sort, you will sort the statements into more finely defined categories based on your level of agreement or disagreement with each statement. The ending result is that you will put the 48 statements into the shape of a normal distribution along a continuum from -5 to +5. Only 2 statements can fit in the -5 and +5 slots. These are the statements that you disagree and agree with the most strongly. Allow me to demonstrate. Click Continue. You're going to be starting with the statements in the Agree bin. Review them And by the way, these statements, I just put them randomly into the 3 bins. They do not reflect my level of agreement or disagreement with the statements. Review the statements in the agree bin and decide which 2 you agree with the most strongly. Click on a statement that you agree with the most strongly, click Move, and then +5, completely agree. And you can see that that statement moved down into the area below, which represents the normal distribution. Here it is. I'm going to go back up to the agree bin and choose the second statement that I completely agree with and move it into completely agree. Now go to the statements in the disagree bin, and you're going to find the 2 statements that you disagree the most strongly with. Here is 1, and here is 2. You can choose how to proceed from this point. Some people prefer to continue with just 1 bin and deal with all of the statements in the agree bin, and then the disagree bin, and then the it depends bin. Others go back and forth between the 2 ends of the distribution, thinking about the statements that they most completely agree with or very strongly agree with, and then those that they very strongly disagree with, filling in the distribution from the edges into the center. It doesn't matter which way you do it, just that all 48 statements are eventually placed into the bins labeled from -5 all the way to +5. When you get to the it depends or I'm not sure category, you might think that all of these statements have to go in the neutral or 0 bin. This is not true, because I'm asking you to rank all 48 statements in relationship to each other. So if you had a lot of statements in your disagree pile to start with, your distribution might look something like this, where all of the disagree statements are occupying almost the entire negative end of the distribution. Or if you had a lot of statements about which you were unsure or you thought it depends, your final sort might look something like this, where those statements take up the majority of the distribution. However it looks is fine, as long as the statements are ranked according to your strength of agreement or disagreement with those statements in relationship to each other. If you like, instead of clicking Move, you can also drag and drop a statement into the correct bin. When each bin has the appropriate number of statements in it, you will see the check mark turn to green. Here, we have 2 that don't seem to work. If I scroll down, I can see that there's 1 item exceeded in this column and 1 item required in this column. In this way, I can drag and drop to move my choices around, and now I have agreement in all of my bins. If you do need to move any other statements around, you can also continue to do that by dragging and dropping. And when you're finally satisfied in the way your distribution looks, scroll down to the bottom and click Next. After you're done with that second sort, you'll be asked to give feedback about why you feel so strongly about the 2 statements at +5 and -5. The statements will be listed for you here, and you will answer the prompt, what causes you to disagree so strongly with these statements? Similarly, the statements that you agree with, you will be asked what causes you to agree so strongly with these statements. As soon as you enter your responses, click Next. The next step is to provide a little bit of feedback about any other statements that you might have felt strongly about. You might also feel that I didn't deal with an important issue relating to English learner assessment, and this is the place to tell me that. When you're finished with these 3 questions, again, scroll to the bottom and click Next. The last part of this study is a questionnaire about your demographic profile, the composition of your caseload, your own language proficiency, and your English learner assessment practices. You are almost there. This is a long process, and the hardest part is done. You will answer the questions and then click Next. Finally, at the very end, you will need to click Submit to register your responses to be entered into the survey. I hope that you found this type of survey interesting and worthwhile, and I truly thank you for your time.